Hello and welcome to the Film Forum podcast where we discuss, I think you can guess what by the name. I am your host, George, and with me today is my special guest, Blair.
Hello.
How are you today, Blair? Like, with all this stuff, like, being forced in our houses.
Well, it's actually quite convenient. It means that I'm sort of indoors all the time. And it means I can get a lot of things watched, a lot of things on Netflix.
Yeah, same with me. Shall we move on to the actual interview questions?
Oh yeah, sure.
You made a short film, 0234, which I actually recently rewatched. It was very good. Really enjoyed it again.
Mhm. Yeah. Thank you.
You're welcome. I wanted to know, how did your interest in filmmaking begin?
Oh, it's that's that one question that everyone thinks like everyone has that one film that they watched. Everyone has that one sort of scene that they saw. Where it just for me, it just no. I there was nothing like that caused me to like film. I just always did. As a kid, I would when I was like 10 years old, I wasn't going to the park. I wasn't playing with friends. I was watching Bond over and over. I'd watched all the Bond films by the time I was like 10, which is insane. I just and I would just record stuff on TV all the time. I'd just be watching stuff, watching stuff. And then eventually, I remember I was on holiday one day with my parents, and they sort of asked me, what do you want to do in the future? And just on the spot, I just went, film. I want to do film. And I've loved film ever since, and it's the only thing I can really see myself ever doing. I'd love to venture into the other arts, but film is the main goal.
Yeah, as you said, a lot of people do just go, oh, there was just that one film I saw that really changed it. But I liked hearing from someone who just went, it just gradually developed over time. Like, for me, it was Coraline and Fantastic Mr. Fox. If I hadn't seen those on those days, who knows where I'd be now.
I feel like film would probably have come to you at some point because you're clearly like, interested in it.
What age did you start making films?
I was in S3. I was in English class and we had this substitute teacher come in and teach us about filmmaking or media and stuff. I never made my own thing, but as a group we had to make a little documentary, and I loved it. So I took media next year, the year after S4, and then we were starting making films there. We started making little skits, little sketches, nothing too serious. And then I did media for 3 years, and I used that to improve myself. And then I did the BFI Film Academy, Network and Residential, two of them, and now I'm doing college, TV production, which is essentially kind of film, but more transferable skills.
Did you get involved with any local organisations outside of school that were linked to filmmaking?
See, I grew up in a small town, not many people in our town, so like, film was there's nothing in our town to do. There was a film club, but it was just watching films. It wasn't making stuff. And actually, I decided to take my own sort of hand at that. And when I was in school, I started up a film club where we sort of watched and talked about films. And then I ended up making a second club, which was a filmmaking club. Didn't do amazing, but I tried my best to sort of spread the awareness of film. But other than that, local organisations about film. I don't know. I'm not so sure about
That was an issue for me growing up. Was I didn't really know how I could get involved, and then suddenly my dad found Screen Education, and yeah, it was really great. But for me, it was quite a trek to get there. Where I live is quite rural.
that. See, I'm lucky in that to get to Edinburgh, it's only like a 15-minute train or like a 40-minute drive. Um, so it was kind of not convenient, but like I could do that.
When I was doing my research for the podcast, I was looking up a couple film youth teams like Screen Ed and BFI and GMAC, and they all seem really great. But the problem is, I couldn't find any that were like in more rural areas that were easy to access.
People will start to realize that being online really helps. rather than forcing people to travel far.
Did you make this film by yourself, or was it part of a course you attended?
So it was part of the BFI Film Academy network in Edinburgh. So there was in total 20 of us on the course, and we were learning about filmmaking, and we all we had to make two films, in two groups. So there was 10 in a group, and we all had to write a script or come up with an idea, and only two of them were chosen by everyone. We voted on our favorites.
Do you mind saying just a little bit about what BFI is?
So the BFI is the British Film Institute, which is like the British powerhouse in cinema, in both um, cultivating it and like spreading awareness of just different forms of film. Uh, and they run this scheme throughout all of the UK, and like based on certain areas. So there's Edinburgh, Glasgow, there's the Highlands, there's you know every sort of small region will have their own group. And what they do is they run this film academy where they teach young people who want to be filmmakers just these essential skills, and it's a really good opportunity. And you get to make a project by the end of it, which is normally quite semi-professionally done.
Because you get the networks, which are like the weekend to weekend ones, and then you've got the residentials, which is like you stay over from like 8 days to 11 days and make something.
Uh-huh. It's a very very intense course though, because they shorten the days a couple. It meant that we had to cram everything in from 11 days to 8 days, which left us with about 4 hours sleep every night. Because we wanted to do, there was 40 of us, and all we wanted to do was chat. We just wanted to chat all the time. Everyone was there by choice, and because they were just passionate about film and filmmaking. When I went to the BFI network, I remember I finally felt like I'd found a group that I could connect with, because I never really knew anyone that liked film as much as me in school.
That was the exact same as me. Honestly, it is an incredible experience, and I don't think you'll regret it in the slightest.
I definitely don't regret it. With the network, I can't say the same about the residential, but with the network, it's not expensive at all. It's I think the actual the course cost was about £15. There is travelling, of course, but I think that they can provide bursaries. But it is completely worth it.
Did you find any issues, like production wise?
So we filmed in Leith in Edinburgh, and we filmed in this little small apartment that one of the crew had, and we didn't realise how bad the traffic outside would be. So our film is very much a sound based film. Like sound is a very important aspect, and it really ruins a lot of scenes when you hear a car go past every 5 minutes. Considering it's meant to be set at 2:34 a.m. when cars don't tend to be going past a lot, or when there's some boys outside kicking balls. It kind of that sound recording was a tough aspect. For most of my films I did during school, I didn't record any sound, mostly because I didn't have any sound equipment, and it meant that any sound I did record, it was all fuzzy, and it wasn't brilliant. But I limited myself and said I'm gonna try making as best a film I can with no sound.
One thing I asked in my survey, any difficulties you faced when it comes to creating films, and so some of my responses were coming up with ideas and somehow finding a way to convince others to do it, because that was an issue I faced.
Oh no, yeah, that is definitely an issue, because a lot of people aren't motivated. A lot of people are in are let's be honest, we're all lazy. We're all 18. We sit down and watch films all day. That's what we do. But what I find is, to get people on, you need to really hook them. Like saying that you want to make a little film, they'll be like, I don't know. But if you can really work on this and really make it a passion project, and if you can convince them and you can show them that this is a thing worth making, and that they can get involved, and not just on a technical level, but on like a spirit, or not spiritual, but an emotional level with this project, they can, they can, if you can convince them that, they'll be hooked, and they'll be wanting to do their best to work with you. That's what I find.
Also, someone said like one of their issues is just budget.
Well, that's the thing that you don't realize. It's entirely possible to make films without a big budget. You can bend the rules. I don't mean like break laws. Like so what I have a project planned in the future. It's summer. I don't know if it's gonna happen now because of the virus, but I have a project planned for then. And the whole point is I'm gonna make it without a budget. I'm gonna make it essentially spending nothing. I don't mean production budget. I mean travel is probably the only thing that people will be paying for. I am sorting out accommodation because we're camping to save money, because there's people coming from like Glasgow and far away. They're gonna be staying nearby. Instead of traveling all the time, we're just gonna stay in tents, because I know, so I have a friend who owns a big large bit of land that we can camp on, and he's fine with it. We can also use this house for filming. Doesn't mean I have to pay for filming. And I've got a bunch of friends with equipment that are willing to lend it. I'm currently looking for sound equipment, and that's my only problem. I don't know how I can't find any sound equipment that I can borrow. I'm thinking my college might let me, but like it is entirely possible, especially with what's like the world now. You know, compared to like 50 years ago, you can quite not easily, but you can make something without a budget or without spending tons and tons of money. You don't need the best equipment. You know, a camera of sorts will do normally.
One more issue that was brought up in the survey was actors, location, and travel.
If you're looking for young actors, especially, what you'll get actors that will work for free. If so my friend from school who's an actor, he will do anything for free. He'll just do anything because he's not at a point in his life where he can charge for work. And but he's also at a point in his life where he will do anything for work, because any kind of acting helps him. Any kind of acting helps, and almost all young actors, especially ones that are in college or university studying acting, or an acting school, which is the best place to find them, I'd say, because they're all struggling for money. They all are. But they'll do anything, like in terms of acting. Getting older actors is, you probably have to pay them. It's a bit of a problem. Some are probably nice enough, but we're all looking for money, obviously. So, but older actors, the best place to find them, networking. Going to film festivals, going to networking events. Edinburgh has a really good one called Cinetopia. Every month they have a networking event, where you just meet actors, filmmakers, producers, like all sorts. It's great.
And it's like that's a great one to do because you can like build up your crew members there.
Yeah,
So thank you for being a part of this interview, Blair.
it's been a lot of fun, and thank you for having me.
Would you like to shout out any social medias as we wrap this up?
Follow my Instagram, irate.professional.
Follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and Letterboxd.
Oh, yeah, follow my Letterboxd, Quickfire, Kwikfire.
Follow Blair. You can follow me on all three of those at Teen Movie Geek, which is all one word. So thank you for listening, guys. Take care, wash your hands, and stay safe.